what does it mean to you to be a good man in today's world?
Well, I have really struggled for decades with how do you lead a moral life as a person in a world where there's so much corruption and so much of the values are oriented toward superficial things like money and people's appearance and you know the values seem so messed up, like the fact that teachers are paid so poorly when education is really probably the most important thing that we have to do with our children. And how do you live in a world where the values are all wrong? And so to me, being a man is about really leading a life that is ethical and caring and kind. And I heard the Dalai Lama speak one time, and it really helped me a lot. He said, look, just try to increase love and compassion around you with the people you know, your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. And I thought, yeah, that would really make a difference in the world. And so I've been trying to do that more. For example, talking to strangers and really finding out people's stories and being interested in people as opposed to being cocooned in my own isolation. So for me, being a man is all about really leading an ethical, moral life where kindness and consideration and politeness and respect for others is a part of my everyday consideration and concern. That's what it means to me, I think.
Many fathers struggle with balancing strength and vulnerability. So, how can men embrace both without feeling like they're losing their identity?
I think the key is to really listen to your children, to convey to a child that you're really delighted by the child's presence, that you really love this child and care for this child, and that you're going to listen to this child, that you're interested in hearing what your child has to say. And that comes first. And, once you're emotionally connected to your kid, you're automatically a strong father because your kid really wants to be close to you and really wants to be a part of the tribe and wants to be a part of the family. So when misbehavior happens or the child is doing something that you really disapprove of, the fact that you're close to the child gives you so much power and strength because you can just talk to the child about how what the child has done makes you feel, how the misbehavior makes you feel, the defiance or the kid doing something that's self-destructive, or hurting somebody else. So empathy and compassion and understanding your child is the source of your power as a father. Because once you're close to your child really wants to be close to you. And children are endlessly forgiving when parents screw up. And we always screw up, And, I remember one morning when I was really impatient and my daughter was taking forever to get ready. And I just really lost it. I got really angry, and then when we were riding to school, when I was driving her to school, I said to her, I'm really sorry. I apologize for, being so angry because I just got so impatient and you didn't deserve to have my anger because you were trying to get ready and you were trying to really look nice for school and you were being careful in selecting what you're going to wear and, and I came down on you and it was unfair and I'm really sorry. I apologize. And she said, it's okay, Dad. And, I think it's very important to really realize that we all make mistakes as parents And when we do make a mistake, we should admit it. We should apologize to our kids and understand what they're feeling and stay close to them. And emotion coaching is the way to do it. If you want to learn about emotion coaching, it's a very powerful way of staying close to your kids, to listen to their feelings when they're emotional, to communicate that this is a great moment for teaching and understanding your child, and to go through the steps of emotion coaching, helping your child label their emotions, communicating empathy and understanding, even if there's misbehavior, understand the motivation behind the misbehavior. And then to really set limits if there is misbehavior, communicate your values. And if there's not misbehavior, to really problem solve with your child about what to do in this kind of situation. That's all there is to emotion coaching, just those steps. And what it does is it really connects you to your kid's emotional life. So the way to be strong is really to be vulnerable, because emotion coaching is also about sharing your own emotions with your child. So vulnerability and strength actually go hand in hand. When you're vulnerable with your child and you care about how your child feels and what she needs, then you're automatically connected, and there's the strength. That emotional connection gives you the strength, because the worst punishment a kid can feel is to feel a little bit distant from the family because they've done something they really need to apologize for and correct their behavior. So your vulnerability is the source of your strength as a parent. They're not really opposite ends of the spectrum. They're really the same thing. So think about what it's like to be a kid, because they know they're short and they know that they're not very powerful and that they need you in order to survive. They're well aware of their powerlessness. And a lot of the fantasies really are about having control and power. That's why superheroes are so appealing to children, and Superman comic books and all that kind of stuff. That's where that comes from, their sense of powerlessness. Even very young children, toddlers, have a strong sense of fairness and justice. And that's an amazing thing. They can tell when things are unjust and unfair. So that if you get behind that and are an ally of your child's sense of fairness and justice, and really support your kids, then you empower them. They learn that their feelings and needs matter to somebody. They matter to you, their mother and their father, their aunt and their uncle. They matter. Adults that really are able to communicate to a child that they're delighted by the child's presence, not annoyed, delighted, and that they really like this kid, and the kid matters. You're doing an enormous service to the development of that child. If your feelings are genuine, if you really like this kid and you're delighted to see the kid and spend time with this child, and that's an enormous contribution to the child's sense of self-worth. So in our caring and our vulnerability, we let these children know that even though they're short, and they don't know a lot because they're just developing, they really matter, and their feelings really matter, and their sense of justice really matters to you. Really, childhood involves a very creative thing. Every child is creating their sense of self, their identity, who they are. And that's an enormous task, and it really takes 25 years. The first 25 years of development is about that, forming this idea of who you are and who you don't want to be, who you aren't. Your anti-models are as important as your role models, your positive role models. So kids are doing that, and if you're their ally in their attempt to define who they are and who they want to be, what they're interested in, what they want to accomplish, and what gives them joy and delight, and fun in life, then you're automatically a strong figure, whether you're an uncle or an aunt or a mother or a father or a caretaker in some way. It's that caring for the kid and being interested, genuinely interested in that child and what the child's thinking is and feelings are and needs are and struggles are, then when you say no and when you say something is not okay and tell the child what is okay, what is the appropriate thing to do, you have a lot of power because they know you love them and you care about them.
When a father feels he's failed, whether through anger, absence, or regret, what's the healthiest way to move forward from that?
When a father has made a mistake and failed, either through neglect or doing something that you regret, apologize, genuinely apologize, take responsibility for your mistake, take responsibility for your behavior, and and tell your child that really you were thinking about what happened today, and you really want to say you're sorry that you lost it, or you did the wrong thing, or you made a mistake, or you thought about what you said and you really don't agree with it anymore, and you want to get your child's forgiveness. You want to ask for forgiveness for your mistake. That's enormously powerful for a child, to know that even their parent can admit when they've made a mistake and learn from it and move on, and that the child's forgiveness really matters to you. Wow. That's a way of honoring a child. And kids really need that, and they thrive in that environment of close communication like that. Understanding your emotions, understanding who you are, because you're a big part of their world, and who you are really matters to them, and they learn from that.
Are there meaningful ways that fathers can express love and affection even if they aren't naturally verbal or physically affectionate?
I think the thing to do is to just follow your heart. And, if you have a resonance with your child's emotions, if you're like an instrument that resonates to your child as a musical instrument, that analogy, you communicate that with your body, with your voice, with the tone of your voice, with the caring comes out, and it just pours out of you. And you don't have to have the right words. You don't have to be really articulate. The words will follow from your mind and heart resonating with that child. And, even if you're not comfortable with physical affection, whatever you can do that really communicates that you love this child, a child will pick up on it. I think a lot of times when parents are, excuse me, a lot of times when parents aren't naturally expressive, what children do is they tune to you. So they look at you with a microscope, and even a very small change in your face and your behavior, in the way you talk, in the tone of your voice, they notice that, and they learn to really read you, whether you're expressive or not. I think of Clint Eastwood and his character when he was playing these Westerns. He would tighten his lower lid just before he shot somebody. And you have to really know the face in order to see that. But I'm sure his kids noticed that, that lower lid tightening. So you don't have to be, a method actor, or a skilled orator or gushing. Your kids will pick up what you're feeling. They'll tune into you and your style, and just let your heart and your mind, and your emotions be your guide to communicating love and affection and interest. By the way, interest is really, really powerful. If you're genuinely interested in your kid, they'll know it. You can't fake it. you know, but, if they bore you, they'll pick that up, and they'll know you're not interested in them. If you're genuinely interested in them, it'll show and they'll get it. One of the things we've learned from research about children is they are endlessly forgiving. So you can make mistakes, just own up to them and correct your mistakes and talk about it.
What would you say to them?
Well, the important thing with children is not the quantity of time. It's really the quality of time. And what does that mean? It means that if you can let your child know that you see them, you see who they are, and you notice who they are, and you see what they're interested in, what turns them on, and you communicate interest in what your child is interested in, and you're curious about them, and you're affectionate and understanding, and let them know those positive things that you're feeling about them, that's incredibly powerful. The quantity of time is nowhere near as important as the quality of time. And if you want to spend quality time with your child, learn emotion coaching. Learn how to be an emotion coach, because when you do that, your child and you will share an emotion vocabulary. You'll be able to link into their emotions. Most of the books on parenting really emphasize discipline. And sure, you want cooperative kids, everybody does. But you can't really accomplish what you want as a parent by just being a good disciplinarian. You have to tune into their emotions. They learn how to be kind by your kindness toward them. They learn to be respectful by your respecting them. They learn to be compassionate by your compassion toward them. They learn both sides of the equation. So the quality of time you spend together is what really matters. Be playful, have fun, be silly, laugh together, be physical, do rough and tumble play, because dads are great at that kind of thing. And moms, not so much, although women can learn to play like a man, and that is very helpful. And we'll speak more about that quality that fathers have naturally. But it's the quality of time you spend with your child that really matters, not so much the quantity.
What's the single most impactful habit a father can develop to strengthen his relationship with his children?
The most powerful habit you can develop to strengthen your relationship with your child is to become an emotion coach. It can be small moments like, the crayon breaks and it's frustrating because that's the only red crayon and your child wants to draw the sky red, to simulate sunset. Or, your child is disappointed because, she accidentally dropped this toy horse and one of the legs broke. And it's these small moments that really matter. So if you tune into those small moments and see them as non-trivial, as an opportunity for connection or teaching, and try to understand those emotions and help your child label their feelings with words, that describe their anger, their frustration, their disappointment, their hurt, their fear, their discomfort, their interest, their curiosity, whatever the emotion is, and resonate to that and validate how your child is feeling. Just saying, it makes sense to me that you would have gotten angry. It makes sense to me that you're upset by this. And I can understand why you're feeling that way. And validate the emotions. And then set limits appropriately. I can understand why you were angry, but in this family, we don't hit. So hitting your brother was not okay. I can see why you got angry when he knocked down the tower you were building. But use your words. That's what we do in this family. So whatever your values are, communicate those and set appropriate limits. Our research shows that emotion coaching without limit setting when it's required just makes kids aggressive. You have to let your kid know what your values are and what is not acceptable to you. and what is acceptable, how they can shine for you as well. Emotion coaching, which really only has those very simple steps, is this magical way of connecting with your children and building intimacy, closeness, and understanding between the two of you. It's a two-way communication. It's not an aloof parent who is just a judge. It's really a parent who's involved and understanding and compassionate, but also sets limits when appropriate.
For fathers looking to repair a strained or distant relationship with their children, where should they begin?
The amazing thing about kids, no matter what their age is that they are forgiving and they always give you a chance. So if your relationship with your child feels distant and you're estranged from them, just screw up your courage and go to them and say, I am really sad. I'm really upset that we're not closer. What can we do to be closer? I want to hear what your feelings are, because I feel really not close to you. I just feel really distant, and it really upsets me because you're so important to me. I guess I really have to learn how to be close to you. Tell me what you need from me. Tell me how I've gone wrong. And let's work together to build a closer relationship. Would that be okay? And listen.
Can a father do that with an adult child?
Yes, a father can do that with an adult child with whom they're estranged. It works no matter how old your child is or how young your child is, as long as they understand language, and they do by the time they're a year old. They understand everything you say to them, even if they're not talking yet. You can communicate with them no matter what the child's age is. They really give you that extra chance if you're genuine about your feelings.
What's one message you'd like every father to hear?
The one message that I would like every father to hear is that research shows how important dads are to the emotional and intellectual and social development of both sons and daughters. We fathers are unique because of the way we play with children, the way we connect with children. We're very different from moms. We're much more jagged. We lose interest quickly. We switch playing different games. And kids learn emotion regulation from the way fathers play with them. Fathers are not so conscious as mothers are of being teachers and helping. They're more in it for the fun. And so it turns out that that makes a unique contribution to the child's emotional, social, and intellectual development. Fathers are very important to children. And by the way, when a woman plays with a child the way a man does, it all works. You don't have to biologically be a man, but it's a way of interacting with kids that is very different. High energy, rough and tumble play, really being in there not to teach, but to just have the most fun possible. That's what guys do. So it's not necessarily biology. It's just that it comes more naturally to us because we're a lot more immature than moms are.